We gave a directive for fund managers to halt guaranteeing of returns. This was because it gives the impression that a fund manager has a balance sheet to support the risk that they take. So irrespective of what happens to the underlying portfolio, the fund manager will make you whole. The fund manager invests in a portfolio of securities whose performance is tied to the nature of the risk those securities entail. So if you pick equity portfolio, you'll get an equity kind of return. If you pick a debt portfolio, which is based on treasury bills, you get a treasury bill kind of portfolio. If you pick a portfolio that is based on bank deposits or savings and loans fixed returns, you get those kinds of returns as well. So that was the first initiative we took. And then we also started investigations into troubled fund management companies. We called hearings. We engaged a consultant to look at their books and to take a deep dive. This brought to our attention the issues that some of them had, which subsequently led to the revocation of their licenses. The revocation has created space for the regulator to focus on the remaining firms and to allocate resources efficiently in supervising the firms that remain, and also to fulfill our mandate of investor confidence and protecting the investors. I will refer to Ellie Clint's presentation where investors are talking about their funds being lost. In the midst of all this, government took the initiative to intervene and provide a backstop. So we've come up with a bailout scheme where investors who sign up, it is a voluntary scheme, but those who sign up will be able to access their funds. Their funds are not necessarily lost, it's locked up. These firms are going to be liquidated, and following liquidation, the Registrar General will pay a dividend. So whatever assets are left in the firm, that is what they will get out. Those who don't sign up to the scheme will now be exposed to wait for the liquidation proceeds. We also worked on reviewing and enhancing licensing requirements. So that has also been issued. It was issued in the last quarter of last year, and that has new capital requirements. We also did an amendment to the LI 1728, and these provisions were replaced by the licensing and conduct of business guidelines. And then we also did some amendments to specific sections of Act 929, namely Section 35, 37, and 209 of the Act 929. And these allow us to become a signatory to the International Organization of Securities Commissions, which is IOSCO. It's a global body that we are part of as well. We're also preparing a review of Act 929, drawing on the lessons that we have learned from this cleanup exercise, and to clarify some of the powers of the Commission following a revocation action. Another area that we've also worked on is to increase the public profile of the Commission through a series of industry and stakeholder engagements. This allows for greater transparency and greater visibility of what we do as a Commission. The new guidelines we've issued are to strengthen the market, increase product offerings and diversity, and support future growth. We also introduced a new engagement called Time with the Commission. So what have we learned from this cleanup? I think that is one of the areas that we want to focus on. One was that there was corporate governance weaknesses. So along with that, we've introduced a conduct of business guideline in which we require market operators to issue annual reports. So on the issue of governance, how will you know that a firm is in good standing? You can ask them for their annual report, because in their annual report, they'll show you their accounts, they'll show you the kinds of products they offer to investors, and they should also make disclosures on the constitution of the board, whether the board had meetings and how many meetings they have had, whether there's an investment committee duly constituted, and how often it has met. So this also increased the level of transparency that we will see in the market. We also found that there were related party transactions that were not done transparently. So we are working on introducing investment guidelines for fund managers that seeks to address this issue. We've also digitized the submission of reports. This allows for real-time inspections by the regulator and for us to address concentration issues as and when we identify them. We also saw a lack of professionalism and some misconduct. And so this new licensing framework seeks to address that. We are also enhancing the training program that we offer to market operators, as well as implementing a continuous professional development through Ghana Investments and Securities Institute. Then there's the issue of inadequate disclosure to clients who are the asset owners. So we've asked that fund managers improve the mandates that they assign with clients, and that we've also informed the public to ask for statements, get a sense of the position of your portfolio, and to understand the risks in that portfolio. Because as Eliklim said, there are different risks given your investment profile. If you have the appetite, if you've built your land bank, you have your treasury bills, you want to take additional risk, it is okay to take those risks to get excess returns. But you have to understand the nature of the risks you are taking there. And then the other part was investor education. So as a commission, we've also launched a similar series called Time with the Commission. The first one was held in November 2020. We've improved our social media handle. So you can check out our Twitter handle, our YouTube links. We have some of our videos online. And our Facebook page is also very active now. As a regulator, we've also had to take a look at what we do. And key milestones that we've achieved in 2020 includes completing the Capital Market Master Plan that I mentioned. We implemented a bailout scheme, which is also to restore investor confidence. So those of you who have gone through this bailout issue, have patience, go through the process. You will get your funds. Some of it is in Tier 1, which will be paid immediately you ask for your redemptions. The rest is in Tier 2, which will be paid on every anniversary of the scheme. We've also obtained liquidation orders on the firms that were revoked. Of the 47 firms that are being liquidated, 34 firms have been granted approval for liquidation and are going through the process. I mentioned the amendments, and I mentioned digitization and time with the commission. We've also hired new people as a regulator. Prior to the action we took, we actually had 62 staff members. We had 5 additional staff, and we replaced 1 more person. So we have a total of 67 full-time staff members. We also implemented AML and CFT guidelines. And then we are working on new guidelines this year. So we have financial resources that are going to come out that will spell out the liquidity requirements and the assets that are supposed to back the capital that fund managers have. We have credit rating agency guidelines. They're in draft now, but we'll be sharing with the public for feedback. And then we're also working on self-regulatory organization guidelines and investment guidelines for fund managers.